Mr. Chair, for the record, before we formally start the meeting, please allow me to read the following statement in reference to the SEC and revised corporation code basis for the virtual meeting. In consideration of health and safety concerns of everyone involved, IDC adopted measures to afford our stockholders the opportunity to attend, participate, and vote in this meeting as effectively as a physical distancing by holding this year's annual stockholders meeting via remote communication or in absentia, pursuant to Sections 49 of the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines and SEC Memorandum Circular Number 6, Series of 2020. Section 49 of the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines authorizes shareholders who cannot physically attend or vote at shareholders' meetings to participate and vote through remote communication. Further, the Securities and Exchange Commission has issued Memorandum Circular 6, Series of 2020, providing for guidelines on the attendance and participation of directors, trustees, stockholders, members, and other members of corporations in regular and special meetings through remote communication or electronic means of communication. Section 10 of SEC Memo Number 6, Series of 2020, provides that when so indicated in the bylaws or by a majority of the board of directors, stockholders, or members who cannot physically attend at the stockholders or members meeting may participate in such meetings through remote communications or other alternative modes of communications. I now turn over the floor to our chairman, Mr. Nati.
Thank you, Attorney John, for the statement about this virtual meeting. On behalf of the Board of Directors of ITALPINAS and Management of ITALPINAS Development Corporation, we welcome you, fellow stockholders. I would like to take a moment to introduce the nominees for election to the Board of Directors. Romolo Nati, José Di Leviste III, Shannon C., Dionisio Tejero, Christine Base, Giuseppe Garofalo, Emeraldo Magnaye, Rafael Dominguez, and Jose Araulo. The last three, Magnaye, Dominguez, Araulo, as independent directors. Also present in the meeting, our stock and transfer agent, BDO Unibank Trust and Investment Group, and our independent auditors, Moore, Rojas, Cruz, Tagle & Co. I hereby call this annual meeting of shareholders to order and now proceed according to our agenda. May I request Attorney José Di Leviste III, President of IDC, to preside this meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Nati. This annual meeting of the stockholders of ITALPINAS Development Corporation is now called to order. Mr. Corporate Secretary, were notices duly issued and do we have a quorum?
Mr. Chair, notices of this meeting, together with the agenda and the information statement of the corporation, were sent beginning August 24, 2023, to all stockholders of record as of June 30, 2023, by personal delivery and by courier, with postage prepaid. Based on the record of attendance, the stockholders attending this meeting in person and by proxy represent 360,206,044 common shares. These constitute 57.21% of the total outstanding capital stock of the corporation as of record date of June 30, 2023. We therefore have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. May I now request the Corporate Secretary to discuss the rules and voting procedures to be followed for this meeting?
Only stockholders who have registered online may participate in this annual stockholders meeting via remote communication or exercise their right to vote in absentia or vote by proxies. Our procedures for registration, voting, and participation in our annual stockholders meeting are contained in the preliminary information statement and have been implemented as follows. First, stockholders signified their intention to participate via remote communication by submitting requirements to the Office of the Corporate Secretary or via email at corporatesecretary italpinas.com no later than midnight of September 17, 2023. Registered stockholders were given the opportunity to send their questions and comments prior to the meeting. Questions and comments received will be taken up in this meeting. However, should there be questions received but not addressed during the open forum due to time constraints, it shall be addressed separately by the company to the stockholders' email addresses. Each of the proposed resolutions will be shown during the live streaming as the same is taken up during the meeting. Stockholders who registered through the online web address to participate in the meeting by remote communication will be included in determining quorum, together with the stockholders who voted in absentia and by proxy. Voting shall only be allowed for stockholders registered in the voting in absentia and shareholder system or through the chairman of the meeting as the proxy. Stockholders voting in absentia who have previously registered through the online web portal casted their votes either by proxy or in absentia by sending the documentary requirements with the transmittal letter to the Office of the Corporate Secretary at the 8th floor DPC Place, 2322 Chino Roses Avenue, or scanned copies of the required documents by email to corporatesecretary@italpinas.com no later than September 17, 2023 at 12 midnight. All the items in the agenda for the approval of the stockholders will need the affirmative vote of stockholders representing at least a majority of the issued and outstanding voting stock present at the meeting. Election of directors will be by plurality of votes, and every stockholder will be entitled to cumulate his or her votes. The Committee of Inspectors of Proxies and Ballots will tabulate all votes received, and an independent third party will validate the results. The Corporate Secretary shall report the results of voting during the meeting. The meeting proceedings shall be recorded in audio and video format.
Thank you, Mr. Corporate Secretary. With that, we'll move on to the next item in the agenda, which is approval of minutes of the previous stockholders meeting held on November 16, 2022. Copies of the minutes were posted on the company's website. Mr. Corporate Secretary, can you present the minutes of the previous meeting and the voting results of the approval thereof?
Mr. Chairman, a copy of the minutes of the previous annual stockholders meeting held on November 16, 2022 has been made available through the company website. We would like to make it of record that stockholders owning 360,206,044 shares voted to approve the minutes of the meeting, and no shares voted against it, and no shares abstained.
This is noted. Accordingly, the motion is hereby carried, and the November 16, 2022 minutes of the annual stockholders meeting are approved. We'll move on to the next item, which is the report of the management and presentation and approval of the financial statement as of December 31, 2022. At this point, let me now request our Chairman and CEO to present the management report. Hand it back to Mr. Nati.
Thank you, Mr. De Viste. So report to shareholders, 2023 annual shareholder meetings. ITALPINAS is a real estate development company focused on sustainability. This is our conglomerate structure and of ITALPINAS. We own 100% of 3 subsidiaries, IDC Homes, which is engaged in the real estate for the BCM market, so economic and affordable, and IDC Prime, which is engaged in open market real estate products. We have incorporated these subsidiaries in order to leave IDC, the mother company, free to forge new joint venture and focus on business development and other areas. And we leave IDC Homes and Prime, again, which are fully owned by IDC, to be in proper development. We also incorporated Prima, which is an asset management company, to give full service to our clients. Since incorporation, ITALPINAS also owns 25% of Constellation Energy Corporation, which is a renewable energy company focused on pre-development stage. To give an overview about our projects, project that we have done, project that we are doing, and future projects which are already disclosed and under development or pre-development. We have our flagship project, Primavera Residences in Cagayan, Primavera City, which is also in Cagayan de Oro, and Miramonte, which is our first project in the island of Luzon, probably located in Santo Tomas Batangas, and our first project in the economic market, which is called Verona. All our projects have been awarded as best mixed-use building in different times by the most prestigious awarding body, which is the Asia Pacific Property Award. This is our first project, fully built and fully turned over. And this is our second project, still in Cagayan de Oro, Primavera City, which is also was awarded as the best mixed-use building at the Asia Pacific Property Award in 2017. This project is now under development. This is phase 1, which is already fully built and turned over. And you can see here phase 2 of Primavera City, which is under construction as of today. As to date is 61 completion, the construction. Miramonte, which, as I mentioned, is our first project in the island of Luzon in Santo Tomas Batangas, also awarded as best mixed-use building, is actually currently under construction. And today, construction completion is 61%. Verona, which is our first project in the economic development, we are developing this project. The property is already fenced and clear. We already secure all the permits, and including temporary license to sell, which will expire in May. But by the time we will secure the definitive license to sell, we are located also in uptown Cagayan, just beside SM Mall and beside our first project, Primavera Residences and Primavera City. This project is our first project developed in joint venture with the landowner. This is 1.1 hectares that is going to be developed through walk-up condominiums. Walk-up are buildings that are four stories high, no more than that. And also this project was awarded recently, actually this year, by the International Property Award in Bangkok as the best mixed-use building in the Philippines for 2022-23. And as of today, pre-selling is doing extremely well. These are recent disclosure that we have done with the PSC, and I would like to mention that IDC signed a joint venture agreement with a corporation called Finca Montero Resources for a development of a property of 2.3 hectares in Bataan, probably Morong, to be exact. And we are going to develop a mixed-use green project, which will comprise leisure, commercial, and residential for the open market. We also signed another joint venture agreement with Mr. Gonzalo Go, who is, by the way, the same landowner of Verona property in uptown Cagayan. We signed a joint venture agreement still in Cagayan de Oro to develop mixed-use green project, commercial and residential, in a property that is 4.3 hectares. IDC recently also signed a management agreement with Ascot, a very well-known, internationally established brand, hospitality brand. And Ascot will manage service residences under the Citadin brand for Primavera City in Cagayan de Oro, phase 4, which is the high-rise tower. And we also sign with the same company, Ascot Limited. We sign for a management agreement for Citadin brand to manage Miramonte phase 2, tower 1 in Santo Tomas Batangas. Let me give you an overview about the financial highlights for 2022, the audited financial statement. We have been able to increase constantly, actually, you can see from the chart, increasing our net income. Our plan is to go back to the profitability we had before pandemic. So as you can see, we are slightly higher than 2021. So despite the pandemic, our sales has been robust, and as I said, we are towards recovering and going back to the same net profit of previous year, and also our sorry. Also, our gross profit was already higher than 2020, slightly lower than the one in 2021, but we have been able to still manage a gross profit compared to the peak of the pandemic, which was 2020. How we do that? Through effective construction management, and we have been able to reduce also construction cost through an optimization of our in-house construction management capability. Also increasing selling price help us to control the profit margin. In terms of net income, we are slightly higher than 2021, and we are going now to the balance sheet. We reach almost 3 billion. As you can see from the chart, we have been consistently increasing our total asset to 2,956,32. As we can see, all total asset increase in 2022 compared to 2021. Expansion in operation with new project increase our total asset. As for our total equity increase, also thanks to accumulated earnings. Debt to equity ratio decrease, and we are still way below the debt to equity ratio, which is 3 to 1. Actually, we are around below 1.8, 3 to 1.8. Return on asset is still within average, is slightly decreased for a few points compared to 2021. But we are still managing effectively our asset generating earnings even during the pandemic. Company future plans, we intend to forge new joint venture with new landowner due the good positioning that IDC has been able to consolidate during the past years. We aim to increase our economy of scale so that we can also plan to raise funds through equity or debts and to expand our operation and be able to implement and build the projects that we have now in our pipeline. We are exploring also new partnership with international recognized hospitality brands due the successful two agreements that we have been signed with Ascot, and we will keep delivering sustainable real estate development with superior design, which is our strength and which is really gaining momentum in the Philippines. I would like to thank everybody for your time and for investing in ITALPINAS Development Corporation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman Nati, for the comprehensive report. The 2022 audited consolidated financial statements of the company were appended to the definitive information statement sent to all stockholders of record. Mr. Corporate Secretary, can you present the proposed resolution to approve the 2022 AFS and the voting results thereof?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution is flashed on the screen. Resolved that the audited consolidated financial statements of the company and its subsidiaries as of and for the 12-month period ended 31 December 2022, as audited by the company's independent auditors, Moore, Rojas, Cruz, Tagle & Co., are hereby approved and accepted. We would like to make it of record that stockholders owning 360,206,044 shares, representing 100% of shares present in today's meeting, voted to approve the resolution. No shares voted against it and no shares abstained.
This is noted. Accordingly, the motion is hereby carried and the 2022 AFS is hereby approved. The next item on the agenda is the approval and ratification of all acts of the Board of Directors and Management during the preceding year. May I request the Corporate Secretary to explain this agenda item?
This matter being proposed for approval and ratification of the shareholders refers to the acts and resolutions of the Board of Directors and Management since the meeting of the stockholders on November 16, 2022, up to March 31, 2023, which were summarized in the definitive information statement provided to the shareholders and also disclosed and posted at the company's website. The acts of the board and its committees include approvals of contracts and agreements, investments and capital expenditures, treasury, and other matters that have been subject of the corporate disclosures to the Philippine Stock Exchange and Securities and Exchange Commission. The acts of management refer to those made to implement resolutions of the board and its committees and undertaken in the general conduct of the business and affairs of the company.
Mr. Corporate Secretary, could you now please present the proposed resolution to approve the acts of the board, its committees, and of management, and please provide the voting results there.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution is flashed on the screen. Resolved that all the acts of the Board of Directors and Management from the date of the last Annual Stockholders Meeting held on November 16, 2022 to date are hereby approved and ratified. We would like to make it of record that stockholders owning 360,206,044 shares, constituting 100% of shares represented in the meeting, voted to approve the resolution, while no shares voted against it and no shares abstained.
This is duly noted. Accordingly, the motion is hereby carried, and the acts of the board, its committees, and of management are hereby ratified and approved. For the next item, we go to the election of directors. May I request Mr. Rafael A. Dominguez, Chairman of the Nomination and Corporate Governance Committee, to report on the nominees for election to the company's Board of Directors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the corporation's bylaws, the Nominations Committee has pre-screened and shortlisted all candidates nominated to the Board of Directors. The following persons have been nominated for election to the Board of Directors for the ensuing year, and each one has accepted their nominations, namely Romulo V. Nati, Jose D. Leviste III, Shenan A. C., Dionisio Tejero, Christine P. Base, Mr. Giuseppe Garofalo, and as independent directors, Rafael A. Dominguez, Jose G. Araulo, Esmeraldo C. Magnaye, all independent directors. All nominees are incumbent members of the board. All nominees have determined by the committee to possess all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications provided under the company's bylaws, Manual of Corporate Governance, and SEC rules, and all are eligible for re-election to the Board of Directors.
Mr. Corporate Secretary, could you please present the proposed resolution to elect directors, and please provide the voting results.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution is flashed on the screen. Resolved that the following individuals be, as they are hereby elected as members of the company's Board of Directors to serve for a term of 1 year from September 18, 2023 until their successors have been duly elected and qualified. Romulo Nati, Jose D. Leviste III, Shenan A. C., Dionisio Tejero, Christine P. Base, Giuseppe Garofalo, Rafael A. Dominguez, Jose G. Araulo, Esmeraldo C. Magnaye. We are now flashing on the screen the tally of the votes casted in favor of the nominees.
This is duly noted. Accordingly, the motion is hereby carried, and the following are hereby elected as directors of the year for the year 2023 to 2024. Romulo V. Nati, Jose D. Leviste, Shenan C., Dionisio Tejero, Christine Base, Giuseppe Garofalo, and as independent directors, Rafael Dominguez, Jose Araulo, and Esmeraldo Magnaye. So congratulations and thank you to all of those directors. We'll move on now to the next item in the agenda, which is the appointment of an external auditor. May I request Attorney Christine Base, a member of the company's Audit and Risk Oversight Committee, to report on its evaluation and recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After having considered the qualifications, performance, independence, and the quality of communication with the company of the incumbent external auditor, Moore, Rojas, Cruz, Tagle & Co., the Audit and Risk Oversight Committee, on behalf of the Board of Directors, hereby recommends the reappointment of Moore, Rojas, Cruz, Tagle & Co. as the company's independent auditor for financial year 2024, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Corporate Secretary, could you please present the proposed resolution to appoint the external auditor and please provide the voting results?
Mr. Chairman, the proposed resolution is flashed on screen. Resolved that the appointment of Moore, Rojas, Cruz, Tagle & Co. as the corporation's external auditors for 2024 is hereby approved. We would like to make it of record that stockholders owning 360,206,044 shares, representing 100% of shares present in today's meeting, voted to approve the resolution. No shares voted against it and no shares abstained.
This is noted. Accordingly, the motion is hereby carried, and BDO Rojas Cruz Tagle & Co. is hereby appointed for the year 2024. The last item on the agenda is other matters. Is there any other matter which may be properly taken up by the stockholders at this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we just have some questions from our shareholders which can be summarized as follows. So the first question is, do you have any plans to expand in other locations? If yes, where do you plan to expand?
Yes, that's noted. Well, as you may know, we're growing in Cagayan de Oro, which is a site that has demonstrated very strong commercial conditions for us. As far as expansion to other parts of the country, we're always on the lookout, as a matter of course, for new sites, new locations that have the appropriate combination of factors that we have used as a template, actually until now, to choose the locations that we have so far, which so far have proven to be quite good, quite responsive, and very commercially viable. It was mentioned by Chairman Nati earlier that we entered into a JV with our partner in Morong, Bataan. So we're very excited about that site. That's our first project in that area, in that region of the country. But of course, it just represents the outcome of what I mentioned earlier. That as a matter of course, we are always looking and always open to sites for our future growth. I think it's of course we should mention that from the very inception of the company, we've professed strong belief in the potential of areas in the country that others may have considered as peripheral, so to speak. But when viewed in another perspective, one that we believe in very, very strongly, it can also be said that some of the best and most commercially viable opportunities in Philippine real estate are precisely in areas like this. And for that reason, we'll continue looking to places where we find this combination of factors. One of those factors, of course, is positive market study. That's something that we go very deeply into with each of the sites that we consider. Market studies refers, of course, to whether there's demand for the product, what kind of product would optimize that demand, and we do take it very seriously, and we take pride in going into a sort of micro-sited degree of detail, a level of detail when it comes to these studies. So all of these are considerations that are taken into account. With regard to specific locations, of course, these will be developed and disclosed in due course according to the usual rules. It was also mentioned in Architect Nati's report that we're signing up partnerships with the ASCOT group as well, and we're very excited about that. We feel that this will bring a great deal of value, visibility to the sites where we will be partnering with the ASCOT group to operate under the Citadines brand. So that's that will be in Cagayan de Oro again, and in Santo Tomas as well. And we encourage you to please continue following our news, our disclosures, and we look forward to sharing more updates about the future pipeline as they come.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last question that we have is, how is inflation affecting the business/company?
Inflation in general, of course, it's something that all businesses will need to deal with in their own way. In our case, in real estate, there's no escaping it, of course. What's fortunate, however, is that we are able to mitigate the effects of inflation with very careful project management in each and every one of our projects. So all the way down to the project level. In terms of day-to-day, week-to-week operations, what this means is that we optimize prices by locking them in early. Of course, this requires foresight. So I would say that foresight is probably one of the main tools that we should deploy to control the effects of inflation. And this tool of foresight and this tool of managing in an optimum way is, of course, going to be sharper and stronger as we increase our economies of scale. So I would say that as we increase the number of projects that we have online, as we pursue the future pipeline, the pipeline of future projects that I mentioned just previously, economies of scale will improve for us. And with this, I believe we should become even more able to mitigate the effects of inflation, not to eliminate, but to mitigate the effects of inflation from year to year. Speaking of real estate in particular, though, since that's our industry, that's what we pass on to our end users. It might also be worth noting that inflation could highlight also one of the strengths that real estate has, which is that real estate in itself tends to appreciate relatively more reliably than other investment categories. And we have concrete examples of this with our existing projects, and we're proud to say that the units in our existing projects have concretely appreciated in value over time since the opening of sales. So with that very important characteristic of real estate itself as an investment category, it could be said that when inflation is a concern, then all the more real estate as an investment tends to lend itself as a good choice. Because that increase of value over time, that appreciation, is itself a baked-in mitigation to the inflation that's present in the economy at large.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was the last question from our stockholders.
If there are no other questions and if there are no other concerns or matters to be brought up, then we can adjourn the proceedings. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting. To the newly elected members of the board, please be reminded that the organizational board meeting for the year 2023 to 2024 will be held immediately after this meeting, so please stay online for that. Thank you again.